So our 9 News legal analyst Whitney Traylor is with us now to talk more about this, and it says that LAPD says Will Smith won't be facing charges. They have civil and criminal. Criminally, it appears like nothing's going to happen. Why is that?
Yeah, it does look like that. And the criminal charges can be brought in a number of ways. The police can actually obviously be called and arrest somebody and then start the charging process. The DA can also do that. And here, though, I think the issue is primarily that Chris Rock didn't want to press charges. That's not the only reason, because obviously a prosecutor can go forward and subpoena a witness who doesn't want to participate. Here we're talking about, really, though, there were no severe physical damages, so there's no physical harm, so it's a simple assault. And so it doesn't look like the police or the DA is going to pick this up without somebody initiating.
I like
a charge.
LAPD saying they're aware of something happening, along with 100 million other people.
Yeah, along with, I was going to say, when you think of the millions of people watching, and everyone had their own reaction, I think honestly at first everybody said, what's happening here? For you, when you look at it, what's your reaction when you see this happening between two black men?
Well, I was deeply bothered. I mean, I'm still actually quite shook up, just because these are such prominent men. Will Smith has just come out with a really phenomenal book. He talks about witnessing violence at 6 years old, seeing his father abuse his mother, and feeling like a coward. And so some people are saying, look, this has been an ongoing thing to call out your wife in this way in a public setting. You know, of course it's going to happen, but of course, and there's people who are saying this was good for him to stand up for her and defend black women. And I agree with that, but I completely disagree with the violence. He didn't appear to be needing a self-defense. He was definitely called out. And if you look at the history of comedians, this is the nature of a comedian. And you can go back to, Don Rickles, Sam Kinison, Richard Pryor, and even recently Dave Chappelle. And some people are saying, well, should the trans community be reacting in this way with what Dave Chappelle has been doing, right? Saying that this was just an overreaction. But on the other hand, there is a pressure to man up, to defend your woman, to do these kind of things. And so I think you have this culmination of all these pressures kind of capsizing right here.
Which way do we go from here now? This is a little bit out of you're usually our legal analyst, but which way do we go from here? Is this become more commonplace for people to, I mean, if you watch the show, there were a lot of people who were teased and poked fun at and different things. And we know about Jada Pinkett Smith and alopecia, and that made it a much more sensitive subject. But do we now say, okay, now we know you never react this way? Or do we go, now we do react this way when we feel we're wronged?
Well, and obviously that's the message. People are saying, well, this is not how we teach our children, and he had a moment to reflect in there. I think one of the greatest takeaways, though, is this notion of the moment of decision. And that is everything. Before we do something, we have that moment of decision where we decide how we're going to react. And that's what I'm constantly trying to tell my nieces and nephew and my daughter to, really think about this. And that's what's unusual, is that Will Smith seems to be very introspective. And I think that's what I hope the takeaway is. I've been telling everybody, we're so contentious, there's so much pressure on us, that this is an opportunity for grace and gentleness. I'm talking about for both of them, because I really looked at Chris Rock when that happened, and I empathized with both of them because I felt really the pain. But Chris Rock, this reminds me in the employment context, when people are yelled at or punched at the job, it's so much more extreme and egregious, because you don't expect that to happen in the workplace. You don't expect it to happen anywhere, but if you're at a ball game yelling or at home, right? So I think that also, where it happened, really increases Chris Rock's damages, embarrassment, humiliation, and all that.
The next 48 hours or week will be interesting to see what is written after the story, what Chris Rock has to say, what Will Smith has to say in the next week or so. It will be something we all follow. Yes. Whitney, it's always good to see you.
It's good to be here. And the last thing, just if we can, one thing we can do is just put positive energy out there. This morning I woke up and thought about Chris Rock and Will Smith and just sent them positive energy, because this is an opportunity for redemption. Like, we can do something great from this sad moment.
100%.
Forgiveness and redemption, really good things. Really good things. Thanks,
Whitney. Thank you, Whitney.